the spread of the Arabic language in the 7th century AD. So this has a historical backing and a background. And basically because of that, Christians have been using that word. We are not using that word because we want to challenge anybody's right, but basically because we have historical reasons behind it, we have a historical background behind it. Secondly, for the Bumiputra Christians in Malaysia, particularly the Christians such as the Kadazan and the Ibans in Sarawak, they too have been using the word Allah in their liturgy, in their worship, in their church services for many years. Some of this Christianity have come to Sabah and Sarawak, East Malaysia, since the 150 years ago. If you look at some of the traditional churches, such as the Anglican Church in Sarawak, they have been using the word Allah even in their liturgy, even in their hymn books, even in their service books, dating back all the way to the 19th century. This was, in those days, there was no controversy regarding the use of the word Allah, and they have been using those words fairly in peace, without disturbance to anybody, and so on and so forth. So the Bumiputra Christians have been using those words, and this word that they have been using in Sabah and Sarawak, and many of them are here in Peninsular Semenanjung, Malaysia here, has been passed down from one generation to another generation, and this is how they teach their children the traditions of their faith, the heritage of their faith. When I asked one Bumiputra Christian leader, Pastor so-and-so or Reverend so-and-so, why can't you not use the word Allah? You know what they tell me? I'm not a Bumiputra Christian, I'm a Chinese Christian, but there are many Bumiputra Christians such as the Iban Christian. You know what they tell me when I ask them, why can't you stop using the word Allah? You know what they answer? They say, think of it this way, it is like one day you are a person and you have been in existence for 40, 50, 60 years. Suddenly one day, somebody comes and chop off your head. You have been in existence, you've been living a good life with 2 hands, and then one day, somebody comes and chop off that hand, take away the hand, and now you have no right hand or left hand to use. How will you feel? How will you feel? And so this is what the Bumiputra Christian leader told me. To ask them to stop using the word Allah is basically like saying, chopping off their hands or incapacitating one of their hands, and they no longer have the hand to use. And isn't this a very sad situation? Isn't it a very sad occasion that when you have been a healthy person, suddenly one day that right hand or left hand is missing? And to them, many of these Bumiputra Christians in Sabah and Sarawak, that's how they feel. They feel that if the word Allah has been taken away from them, something that has been passed on from one generation to another generation, from father to children to grandchildren and so forth. One day, if that word is taken away from them, that's how they feel. They feel as though their hands or their leg has been taken away from them. So they have been using this for many years, and they have no other word. They have no other word except that word that they have been taught. And why they have been taught this word? Because there is history, there's translation, the history, and they have been using it for many decades before that. Thirdly, why are Christians using the word Allah? And again, I like to say it's not because we are trying to take away anybody's word or anybody's right or trying to attack anybody, but basically we are doing that because we are basically exercising our rights under the Federal Constitution. Dr. Aziz has already shared with us the importance of the fundamental liberties in Part 2 of the Constitution. The fundamental liberties like freedom of religion in Article 11 is so important that Article 149, which limits rights in the Federal Constitution, does not prescribe that. Even the Supreme Court in the Joshua Jamaluddin case actually did say that even the ISA at that time when it was in existence and it was enforced, cannot even take away the fundamental liberty rights such as Article 11. So that's how important freedom of religion is. And so when Christians insist on using the word Allah in their liturgy, in their worship, their Christian church service, they are basically trying to just exercise their right pursuant to Article 11 and Article 3, and that is the right to practice and profess their religion in the way they know how to do it. They are just trying to practice and profess their religion by managing their religion in the way that they have been taught according to their traditions for many years. So that's what basically they are doing. Again, I want to say this is not, we exercise this not because we have any other reasons, but basically we just want to be left alone in peace and harmony so that we can practice and profess our faith, our religion. Now, in the light of all this, one day, imagine suddenly Jais comes to a church. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it was at the Damansara Utama Meditation, the DUMC. Dr. Aziz alluded to that. The raid in Bible Society is not the first time. They come 2 years ago to the church, just come into the church and say, you have done something wrong. Recently at the Bible Society, they just come with 20 over officers, just come and just say that, well, you are carrying the Alkitab, which the leaders of Bible Society thought that it's perfectly okay because 2 years back there was a 10-point agreement. That 10-point agreement was something that was given by the cabinet to the Christian community. They thought that it was perfectly okay, so they stocked up their Alkitab, wanted to distribute the Alkitab to the people, the Christians in Sabah and Sarawak, and then suddenly, right on 2nd of January, the Jais just come, just raid, confiscated some 300 copies of the Alkitab. Now, how would you feel? How would you feel? What the report, the Bible Society is a member of the NECF. What they reported to us is that on the 2nd of January, they were not even open for business. They were not even officially open because they were taking a stock check. And then at 1 p.m., they just came, took everything away, and within 1 hour, some of the 2 officers was in the police station. What do you expect Christians to make sense out of this? Here we thought that, well, the Bibles could be imported, could be distributed because there was a 10-point agreement, there was a solution, there was a understanding with the government. We thought everything was okay, and the next day, just one fine day, they came, take everything away, and then 2 of the officers are in the police station. What do you expect the Christians to do in Malaysia to do? What do you expect Christians to feel? Now, how does a Christian going to feel? How is a Christian going to respond in this kind of situation? Of course, the most natural thing is that Christians in Malaysia are not happy, they are angry. But despite that, we call the Christians to calm because there is always a way to deal with issues like that. The way to deal with issues like that is not through violence or to any illegal means, but through proper channels, through proper negotiation. And that's why we have not done anything, but basically we are asking Jais to be reasonable, to be sensible, to respect the rights of the Christians, to respect the rights of the Christian firstly pursuant to Article 11, freedom of religion, to respect the rights of what the government of Malaysia, the federal government has agreed with the Christian community in the 10-point agreement. But what we are seeing is not that. What we are seeing is, at least in the Jais raid, is that Jais came, disregarded Article 11, our freedom of religion. They disregarded our right to manage our own religion, and they disregarded our right to import and to distribute Bibles pursuant to a federal government policy decision in the 10-point. This is how we feel. Fifthly, let me just mention, since Mr. Moderator said something about the Court of Appeal decision, let me just clarify that it is not that the Herald, the Catholic Herald, wants to sue the government of Malaysia. They made appeals after appeals to the Home Affairs Ministries to have their license renewed, but the Home Affairs Ministry just keep telling them, no, no, no. At the end of the day, after so many appeals and yet they say no, no, no with all the conditions, what does that leave us? The Catholic Herald has got no choice but to take the matter to court. Now, I don't want to comment about the Court of Appeal decision. I think Dr. Aziz would be a better person, except just to mention that when the Court of Appeal made that decision, I think it was Justice Muhammad Apandi Ali says that when they say that the use of the word Allah is not integral and essential to the Christian faith, straight away, if you were to put yourself in the shoes that, like what I have just described to you, in the shoes of the Bhumi-Putra Christian who have been using this word, whose faith has been passed down from generation to generation, how will you feel? How will you feel? That is where the Christians, in the Bhumi-Putra Christians in Sabah and Sarawak suddenly feel, what is this? Why is it that this thing is now, the court, the High Court and the Muslim judge suddenly tells me that this thing is not integral and essential to my faith? Now this is what they feel, and this is how they feel. We have been using it for centuries, and then one fine day, a Muslim judge at the court comes and tells me that whatever that I've been using is not essential and is not integral to my faith. And so, right now, the Bhumi-Putra Christian community in Sabah, Sarawak, many of them are also here in Peninsula, they are at a loss. They are at a loss as to what to think now. And so the only recourse that is open to them is to now appeal to the federal court, because they believe that this is not something that is right. This is something that is contrary to the freedom of religion. This is something that is contrary to their tradition, with a tradition which dates back even before Islam, which they have been using for centuries. And that's where, looking into that context, looking into this frame of mind, that Father Lawrence on the 27th of December says that we will continue to use the word Allah. Not because they want to take away the rights of anybody, not because they want to attack the Muslim community. The Christians has great respect for the Muslim community. Otherwise we will not be here, but simply because this is something that the Father Lawrence knows that the Catholic community has a lot of believers, Christian believers in Sabah and Sarawak. He knows that they need to use this word. Otherwise, they will be very disappointed. And he knows that they need to use the word because this is something that is just purely that we have. It is a right that is given to us in the Constitution, and something that they just want to practice and profess their faith. So, my fellow Malaysian citizens, whether Christians or non-Christians, may I just appeal to you that this is how the Christians in Malaysia feel right now. We are at a loss. We are very disappointed about the Jais rate on Bible Society, and we are definitely very disappointed and very despair that our rights under the provisions of the federal constitutions does not seem to be respected. And it is our hope and it is our desire that we as fellow Malaysians can work together to recover these rights, so that whether you are a Christian or Muslims or even Hindu or Taoist or Buddhist, all of our rights as a religious community in this land may be respected. And as we respect each other's rights, we will be able to coexist in peace and harmony. I trust that this will enlighten all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Terima kasih kepada Mr. Eugene Yap. Di antara poin penting yang beliau sebutkan tadi adalah tentang bagaimana perasaan, terutamanya Bhumi-Putra Kristian, dia tentang isu kalimah Allah. Dan soal perasaan, soal inner feeling, it's not something that we can understand daripada statement media. It is not something that we can understand daripada demonstrasi, daripada tindakan pihak berkuasa. It is not something we can understand from that. Tapi daripada dialog, we can understand that. So kalau malam ini kita tidak dapat bersetuju pun tidak mengapa. Tapi paling tidak kita dapat memahami, daripada understanding, kita boleh respect each other. Saya yakin daripada apa yang disebutkan oleh Encik Eugene tadi, kita timbul banyak persoalan. Terutama salah satunya tentang 10 point agreement. 10 apa Mas Melayu 10 point 10 perkara bersama yang disetujui antara kerajaan